Welcome to the Real Study with your hosts, MrSniDBitS,
I was pleasantly surprised.
BlackGirlMarvel,
I cried laughing. That was hilarious.
TylertheFilmmaker.
It's like so much depth. It's like nowadays it's, you got A shot, B shot.
Allthemoviethings.
There's some great wide shots in this.
JeannineDaBean.
Each other. They just kind of look like they were having fun and doing their own thing.
Produced by Hyena. And me, the Real Study movie voice guy.
But this was the first time where I got to see it told in a way where I was like, oh man.
Let's go to the poster wall.
Hello and welcome to the Real Study. My name is MrSniDBitS, and with me as always is BlackGirlMarvel, JeannineDaBean, and Allthemoviethings. And we are here to talk about two all-female led and directed films, The Kitchen and Fresh Kills. In a couple of weeks, we are going to be going into an 80s fantasy world, and we're going to be doing The Golden Child and what was the other one? Big Trouble in Little China is a combo we're going to be doing, so that should be fun. Before we get to our main movies, we're going to move to the main wall and talk to Law about social media.
Hello, you amazing people who have joined us on this fine Sunday or whatever day it is for you, whatever time zone you are in. Please follow us on all social media. You see all of our little what is it, gadgets or thingies that you put on the top. I forget the name of those. So we're on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and Blue Sky, because we don't say that letter anymore. And I just implore everybody to join us and have a good time. Also join us on Discord so you can get into the conversations. You can put your own movie up if you want. If you have your own movie, I would love for us to do more independent films, in the sense of I filmed this on my iPhone and me and my people edited it together. That'd be really cool if we could do more movies like that. But if you got a movie or a TV show that you want us to, not TV show, that's me. If you got a movie that you want us to react to or talk about, let us know. And just make sure you follow us on all podcast streaming sites, whether that's Google, Spotify, Podcast Republic, Anchor. We're on everything. Give us a great rating because I told you to, because we're awesome and we deserve it. Back to you, MrSniDBitS.
They're all awesome. I'm just here, and that's the difference.
He's awesome as well. He does that.
I appreciate that. I think I'm just okay. I wouldn't hang out with me, so I don't know why you guys do.
You do every day.
I know, and it's so infuriating. Anyway, I digress. So before we get into our two films about the mafia from a female perspective, or from a female bend, if you will, if you're talking about The Kitchen, we do have some movies that we all watched this week. But there is one little, not news, but just a buzz that's been happening about a show that is kind of different than most shows, not in its content, but in the way it's shot. And I thought we could talk about Adolescence. So let's, I guess, move over to the news wall and we can talk about Adolescence.
Now it's time for the real news.
So, Adolescence is a show that's on Netflix that is out now. If you guys haven't checked it out, I've heard nothing but great things about it. But what caught my attention was what everybody was talking about when it comes to the way this show is shot, which is every episode is a one shot, is a oneer, if you will, which is really wild considering it's not a bottle show. It doesn't take place in one location. It actually spans multiple locations, car rides, etc., and it's one seamless shot.
Oh wow!
So it's kind of nuts that they're able to do this, but they're doing it with drone technology, which is really unique. Where they're doing handheld cameras and then attaching those to drones, and even the camera people kind of have their marks, if you will, where they're ready to go. You can imagine the reset on a shot for this show would be a nightmare. Mm-hmm. But I really wanted to hear what you guys think. Had you heard of this? Brian, I know you're huge into cameras, so I wanted to see what you guys all thought of.
Never heard of it, but I'm gonna check it out. Yeah, me neither.
Right.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of buzz about this too, mostly from that perspective of how it's shot this way. And a lot of the stuff you mentioned too, the techniques aren't necessarily new. 1917 used all of this same kind of stuff, Mm-hmm. And I watched a lot of like the behind the scenes and making of that. So it's really fascinating to watch. You know, camera department like have to, yeah, you're right, they do have like their marks and everything, and they got to be kind of like on the camera, be able to take it off of like a gimp or off of like say a crane. They'll go like use a crane shot, but then they have to like immediately take the camera off and put it onto something else, or like move it onto like a vehicle because there's like another crazy shot that they got to do that's moving, and then be able to put it onto like a gimbal and do like a steady cam kind of thing.
Right.
Like all these, it's just crazy. Yeah. Or like you mentioned, put on a drone, and then suddenly we're doing like aerials,
Yeah,
all at once.
because you could get above the cars, right? Or you
Yeah.
can get like whatever you need.
Yeah.
You could have that take the place of the helicopter that they would normally use.
Right,
which is
exactly.
nice.
That's really interesting to
expensive.
it's really interesting to implement that in a kind of episodic kind of way.
Yeah.
I'm sure
And
it's
hopefully
really difficult too.
Oh yeah. I mean, because even shooting a scene in a standard way is tough because it takes everyone has to be on their A game.
Mhm.
Everything has to be like perfect, and if one little thing goes wrong from anyone, camera,
Yeah.
anyone, then like boom, maybe there's like
To start over
boom
again.
operators doing
Yeah.
you gotta
That
start all over.
cost. Yeah. So there's
So
probably
then-
like a sense of choreography from everyone.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
And they
Cast and
rehearse it
crew.
like a play for that
Crazy,
reason.
man.
They go through it a few times to make sure.
I would love to see the rehearsal process just from my own
Yeah.
Right?
actor
Yeah.
perspective. I would love to just sit in on that. I ain't got to do nothing. Let me just sit in the corner.
Right. Let me just watch. I'm a fly on the wall.
Exactly.
The director of the show did an interview on Colbert where he was asked, like, well, what do you do if, like Brian just said, somebody screws up? And he said, if it's like a natural like slip of the dialogue and it feels natural, they leave it. They just keep moving because
I
why
like
not?
that.
But if like they said in the first episode, the lights in the police station went out, so they had to stop and reset everything.
Yeah, that's
and so
it.
what you see in episode 1 is the second take. But he said on the final episode, it was their 14th take.
Yeah.
That's a lot. But I imagine 1917 had the same kind of thing going on. Like that's a 2-hour film, and you're doing heavy duty, like the reset on 1917, especially with all the pyrotechnics and all that would be insane.
The thing with, I don't know how it was with Adolescence. I haven't seen the show, but also with 1917 and with Birdman as well. It's all stitched. It's not actually one long take.
Right.
So
but it is a bunch of longer takes.
it's
Like
yes,
a bunch
exactly.
of,
They do like a series of oneers to help to stitch it together to make it look like a one long oneer. So I would imagine that's what they're doing here, but I mean, they could be doing the whole show, the whole episode.
It sounds like the whole episode was
Without
what they're
it.
claiming, is that they're not doing any stitch. It's literally a full oneer for the whole episode.
Because that's pretty cool, 'cause that's like an hour long, around.
Right. Yeah, I think it is. I think it is an 45 or 50-minute show or something.
That's
But
exhausting. Yeah.
it is, and it's got to be. But at the same time, this means somebody's now going to be like, "Well, we got to up this, and we're going to do this with a 2.5-hour film straight through."
Right.
And somebody's going to try it.
I mean, yeah.
I
I mean,
feel
like
like
with
that
a film like
never
1917,
happen.
you kind of have to stitch it.
Mhm.
It's just too much action and too much
Yeah.
other things going on. That like, I mean, like that one that like big final scene where like our lead character's like running across the field and he trips. Like that was an accident. He wasn't supposed to do that, but they just kept running. And it's in the movie. Like when
Right.
they
But on a war, in war,
Yeah,
you
you're gonna, like,
trip
run in-
sometimes.
yeah,
like
they're running people.
people trip.
I don't know if any of those extras got fired, but
Actually, it's
Maybe.
historical fact that no one tripped in the war.
Never. Oh, especially World War One. Nobody tripped. It never
Nobody
happened.
trips in any war.
That is
nobody
wildly
tripped.
inaccurate.
So that's
In
very
no
inaccurate
wars,
of that
okay.
movie to leave that in there.
That's a bit much, but I'm with you. I love it. So yeah, check out Adolescence if you hadn't. It sounds like the panel is probably going to check it out now as well. So
definitely.
that's pretty cool. I get really fascinated when it becomes behind the camera type stuff.
That's the
So,
worst thing about streaming being the means to watch anything is I don't know about anything unless I
Yeah,
go to the
there's so
movies and see a
much for anything.
trailer, but I don't
Right.
know about anything. So it's just like Snitty will come over here like, did you hear about this? I'm like, no,
Yeah.
do tell, because I don't know. So
I learned about it
Like-
through TikTok, so I'm not taking
Right,
the
exactly.
credit on this
Amen.
one.
Yeah, because
that's the new
hearing
news.
about the show, let alone like learning
Right.
about all the
That's-
innovation that's going on behind
right.
the scenes.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's super interesting. Like I think I was seeing something about that HBO show, The Pit, and I didn't even realize
Yeah.
that each episode is just an hour of this long one shift. So we're not like in a
Yeah.
different
Oh,
day. or-
crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I thought that's
Oh,
really
I
cool.
didn't know that.
And yeah,
Yeah.
and they
I wouldn't
and
have
it's
learned that had I
um,
not seen it on some like TikTok. That
Totally.
somebody
it
made.
makes me
Yeah.
want to watch that even more because I'll watch anything
Yeah.
Will Wiley is in, like anything
Right.
he touches. I'm like,
Well,
oh,
and he's
let me
back
take
doing
a,
medical
let
stuff,
me
right?
take a
Because he was in ER.
gander. Exactly. I'm like, let me
And
take a gander.
doctors have said the
I'll
show
watch
is
anything.
incredibly
Yep, they
accurate.
said it's very accurate.
Right.
They said it's very
I
accurate.
bet.
So I really want to see it.
I'm not sure I can handle these medical dramas getting more and more accurate. I already have panic attacks as it is. I don't need
No, for
to,
sure.
be like,
Hyena.
oh, they're missing half their
Fuck
body and they're alive. Okay.
Yeah.
Fuck
Yeah.
off stage because
Yes,
I
and it's
love
a
me some Mo
bearded.
Wiley.
It's a bearded Noah Wiley.
Yeah,
He's a
you
beard.
feel me? The beard, baby. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. That has perked me up a little bit. I'm so tired. But the Noah Wiley part. Okay.
Love it.
Going
love
back
it.
to adolescence, I've heard a lot
Yeah.
of good things about that young actor too.
Oh,
It's like
okay.
Yeah.
it's like one of his first roles or something, and he's like killing it. Like
He shot up to like everybody's searching his
Right.
stuff now because he's
Yeah.
doing so well.
And that's what happens when you put like new faces, new talent, new just I mean, I'm not saying
That's
he's
a lot
new in the sense like he's fresh and new. I'm pretty sure he's been working for a little bit or at least getting,
I mean, he's a kid, so he can be.
He's a
have-
kid.
Yeah, he's like 11 or 12, or I guess maybe
Yeah.
13 if he's adolescence, maybe
But
13.
that's what happens
Yeah.
when you put new talent up there because like Daniel Radcliffe was 11 at a time and
Right.
and
Right.
doing what he was doing. So it's like I love new talent, so I will be checking
But
it.
that was magic. Them finding Danny Radcliffe.
You know
See what I
what?
did there?
Yeah.
That was
Oh,
magic.
yeah.
Go to sleep, sir. You don't need you here. Go to sleep.
Oh, I don't even know how to sleep. I'm gonna sleep the
I
wrong
mean,
way.
technically, I will say this. I can't stand it. I'm gonna say this. You are technically correct. It is magic because they
Don't
auditioned.
encourage this.
I
Lot.
can't help it. It's my brain. I can't help it. They auditioned for Harry Potter like so many kids, and they couldn't find anybody. And then the director of the first one just happened to see him, like remember him from when he was like in a BBC movie. It was like, get that kid to
Crazy.
come in because they were like, he has haunting eyes. Like he had like haunting eyes. That's literally what he said. And he was
Right.
like, oh, get that dude from like I
Just like
forget
Harry Potter.
what. Like go get him. And
Just
they brought
like
him
Harry
in.
Potter.
Yeah, I think
He
it was
was
David
perfect.
Copperfield.
David Copperfield. There it is.
Oh, nice.
That's right. That was the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right, Steve. I
Um,
can't stand that you're right, but you're right.
Hey, I just thought it was a great pun because it is like the fact that they found such an actor, like because we all know he has the chops. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't just Harry Potter. Like he's proven his chops.
Right.
And again, I'm gonna do this because anytime he's brought up, I have to ask if you haven't watched Weird, please watch Weird because Danny Radcliffe as Weird Al is
pretty
phenomenal.
Yeah.
And that is the most ridiculous and perfect film ever made. It is the greatest film ever made. Let's be very clear about that.
I'm screaming.
Because that's what the movie wants you to know is that
Right.
it is the greatest film ever known.
Oh, okay.
So it wants you
And
to
it's
know
a
that.
parody, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Too. What's
It
so
is
funny,
his songs.
Parody of
Biopic.
my story.
but it's
Right.
a parody version of a biopic. Yeah, and his life.
Yeah.
Which means you can't trust anything
So
in it.
like,
Right.
At
No,
all.
you can't believe a thing in it. No.
I feel like that's the perfect way to make a Weird Al like
No,
biopic.
totally.
Yes, the
Like, you
only
know what I
way.
mean?
Yeah.
I wouldn't
like-
expect
Well,
anything.
'cause-
I wouldn't expect
Yeah,
it exactly right. Exactly.
Danny Radcliffe even was like, "You want me to do what?" And he's like, "Read the script, okay? I know I'm extremely tall and you're not. I have long hair and you don't. Like,
Yeah,
please read the script." And he was like, "Oh, I see what you're doing. Okay, yeah, I'm
And
in.
everything, like, yeah.
Yeah, it
Also,
really is perfection.
Good.
Snitty,
Yeah.
I meant to ask, how long have you known Daniel Radcliffe?
Why? Because I call him Danny.
Yeah, I was just curious how long you.
I change actors' names a lot. I call
Sometimes.
So you call him Daniel? You say you call him Daniel
D-Rad.
McBride?
I don't think I've ever said that.
You'd be like
Um,
Daniel McBride.
But no, the two brothers. Oh God, why do I not remember their name? One of them everybody hates now. Why? This is really seriously slipping my mind.
What were they in?
Pineapple Express.
Franco?
Not Seth
Franco.
Rogen.
Name's
Franco.
Franco.
Yes. So I don't say Dave Franco. I say Baby Franco. I've always called him Baby Franco because when I first saw him, he was like a kid
Yeah.
next to his brother, and like.
Yeah.
I was
Now
like,
he's
But I
turned out
feel
to be
like
better
he's
and has good
the
jobs.
young,
So.
too.
Franco
Right.
now. Like he's the
Yeah.
Franco now.
He is.
Yeah.
he's
And I'm trying to like Just call him Franco.
Let him grow up, man. Let him grow up. Jeez.
Some of them take forever, like Leo and Danny and others. They still look young. Well, not Leo anymore, but
I was about to say the moment I saw Leo and the baby in the dad bod with the belly, I was like, that's a grown man right there. Like, yeah, that's a grown man.
But do you remember when that moment was? Because I was looking at Definitely Maybe with Ryan Reynolds the other day, and I was like, he looks like Ryan Reynolds from Buying the Cow, which is really weird because I always thought he looked much younger and skinnier, but now we have old Ryan Reynolds. Well, not old, sorry, Ryan.
Older.
We have sort of older Ryan Reynolds, and you look at him from 2008, you're like, oh God, he's a kid in 2008. So
no, absolutely.
It's just weird. Anyway. That's the news, sort of. More of like just a conversation about a cool show. But we do have a real roundup to get to, so let's get to that. I know that Brian got to see a hand-drawn animated Warner Brothers movie, and it stars Porky Pig and Daffy Duck. Is that correct?
Yeah.
All right. Tell us about the day the Earth blew up.
Yeah. I've been hearing some good stuff about this one, and it's kind of interesting too, like why this movie made it, but like we still aren't getting the Wile E. Coyote film.
So
but apparently there's some news about that too.
There is some news about that.
Right, because like
finding a distributor. Yeah.
So Catch Up Entertainment distributed this film, and that's who they're going to end up selling or trying to sell the Wile E. Coyote film to. So we may actually get to see the Wile E. Coyote film, especially if this one. I imagine this one does pretty well, which I think it'll probably do. Because I'm not sure what the budget was, but I'm sure it was pretty small. But yeah, this is like an old school, like there's a lot of homage to like just the chaos and carnage of old school Looney Tunes cartoons that we grew up with. I mean, there's some like ridiculous stuff in this movie. Like Daffy Duck. I love Daffy Duck. He's like one of my favorites. Like one of my favorite scenes in Who Framed Roger Rabbit is between Donald and Daffy.
And Daffy on the pianos. The dueling pianos.
So perfect. The two ducks with speech impediments are like just I mean that's genius. But anyway, I like
it was.
So Daffy Duck. So this version of Daffy Duck, he's kind of like old school Daffy, like the original Daffy, where he's like just insane, just bouncing off the walls, always like hooping and hollering and everything, just messing things up, just chaos. And then you got Porky. There's this ridiculous way that they explain how Porky got his stutter.
No, do they?
Oh my god, yeah,
that's
it's
funny.
Hilarious. Yeah.
I gotta check that out.
Normal. Yeah, it's like everyone was like dying in the theater when that part came up. But basically, like Porky and Daffy kind of grew up together, and they were like raised together by this like farmer Jim, who's like this.
All right.
The art style is so funny with like Porky and Daffy look kind of normal as far as Looney Tunes go, and then Farmer Jim is like this weird, different kind of art style. Like it's just I can't even explain it. You like have to see it because the way they animate him is just so like bizarre. And like there's one scene where they kind of grow up, and then Farmer Jim gets this talk like, hey, you guys have to stick together. You guys will always be, you'll always make it as long as you stick together. And he kind of like has this talk. He like turns around to them, and says, like basically says like goodbye, like he's leaving him. And then suddenly he's like huge and in the sky, like in the clouds. Like it's like, did he just die just now? Like he's just like, what happened? And like,
Wild.
I mean, that kind of is cartoon death, though.
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah, so.
Totally is.
It's ridiculous. Like, I mean, some of it's very silly. There are definitely some parts where I was like laughing out loud, and there's some stuff that's just like kind of like, it's rated PG, so it's pretty. I mean, it's pretty violent, as Looney Tunes, so they kind of like go back to that. But the whole plot is basically like this alien invasion kind of plot, and it's all around this like bubblegum factory that they use, and the whole thing is there's this like alien goo that has mind control capabilities, and they put this goo in this giant vat of gum, the alien does. And
those Power Rangers. Well,
that's the alien in the background, right?
Yeah, he's it's just like one single alien in this giant ship too, by the way.
Oh my gosh, what?
Yeah.
That's very Looney Tunes.
It's such a ridiculous plot. Like it's like this very popular gum, and they're gonna release this gum globally, and this gum has
Oh, and he's
this
like,
mind control stuff in it, so yeah, so the whole thing is like they're trying to like thwart this plot and everything. Yeah. And
Oh,
like Daffy's kind of a conspiracy theorist, and like no one believes Daffy about what's going on. And yeah, it's
he's the
because
rampant.
he's already saying crap that's not
exactly,
real.
and he's just
Okay.
wild, and they just he's insane.
Yeah.
But
So he looks like a green Martian, even like a full blown almost
like,
Martian.
well, we don't say he's a Martian. They don't say what he is, but it's definitely not related to like Marvin.
Right?
Yeah, so very different. Yeah, like the animation style is it's great that it's like old school, hand drawn. One
love it.
actor does both Porky and Daffy.
Does it sound good? It's obviously it's not Mel
budget.
Blanc.
No, he's great. No,
yeah.
this guy, he's like the king of like animated voice. I mean, he can do anything. It's kind of crazy. Like I've seen him on some podcasts and stuff, and he just like rolls right.
Oh yes, I've seen him as well. Yes,
Uh-huh.
Eric Bauza, I think, or Bauza,
he's like
maybe.
the guy. Yeah, he's the one that's like kind of taken over for like Looney Tunes voices. So he's like the new Mel Blanc, basically, because Mel Blanc was like that. He
Right.
like did all these voices. So
Right.
that's
And
him,
so distinctly different. That's what's wild about what Mel Blanc did, is that how do you have 1,000 characters and you can literally tell them apart every time.
So it's like, it's not, I won't say it's like, amazing, the film. I will say, but it is pretty goofy and silly, and just go in knowing that like some of it is aimed towards kids, but also there's some pretty
but it's Looney Tunes, so it's aimed at every generation because they are multi-generational.
Like, there is some like suggestive stuff in it too for adults. So
would you consider it worse or better than the original Space Jam?
I don't know if I can compare the two, because they're very different films, because this is like all animated. It's like this whole made up like like fake kind of like, it's not even like a real town or anything, and it's just these two guys. It's like not the whole Looney Tunes gang that we see like in Space Jam.
Like no Bugs ever shows up at all. Like
no, yeah,
not even
it's
like
just
a cameo.
Porky, yep. No cameos. Just Porky and Daffy. Petunia's in there for like a love interest, but
right.
Yeah.
So, interesting.
Yeah.
That's unique. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. All right. So go check that out. I know I will as soon as I can.
Support that too, especially if we want to see that Wile E. Coyote.
Right. Yeah. What was the news on that? You guys said they're just looking for a distributor. That's all we know.
They want to sell it for like $50 million to Catch Up Entertainment.
All right.
Which is, they're the ones that distributed this film.
Interesting.
So we'll
does that mean there's ever a hope for the Batgirl movie, or did they really burn that one?
Oh yeah, and I don't think.
Yeah, probably not. No.
Yeah, we're probably gonna see that. That's a whole other complicated mess, especially since we're getting a new DCU.
I know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would be nice.
Which we're so close. So close. Speaking of which, before we move on to Janine's movie, check us out here in July, right before the Superman movie drops. We will be doing a Man of Steel watch and debate, if you will. That's maybe the best way to put that, or a review and polite discussion.
Yeah,
that's a way to put it. Yeah, we're going to talk about that movie in depth, is what it boils down to. So keep an eye out for that. Janine. You got to watch a movie this weekend that you had seen before, but you wanted to talk about, and that's Stick It.
Yes.
Talk about Stick It.
So my 14-year-old niece is in town, so me and her mom are on a mission to kind of share with her all of the films from our generation. She also did dance, and she's in cheer now, so these are kind of films that are up her alley that she's interested in watching. We started this whole process with Clueless, and then we went into things like Bring It On and Center Stage and stuff like that. So Stick It was kind of up on the list. We were kind of just hanging out, and we put it on, and she was getting really into it, and just kind of watching it back now. If you haven't seen the film, it's basically kind of like a mix of Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift and Bring It On.
Wow.
That's true.
I'm screaming. I've
I mean, if
seen
you
that
think
film
about
before. I was like,
yeah, because I mean, our opening character is a bit of a delinquent. She gets into trouble, and her community service ends up kind of teaching her a valuable lesson. And then by the end of the film, you know, the film is
They
a
go to
fun
Tokyo.
teen movie. But, it's a fun teen movie, but we're actually kind of tackling a really interesting societal issue. Like Bring It On, we were tackling, you know, cultural appropriation.
Right.
So, so this film kind of ends up, you know, being this teeny fun thing, but then ends up being like a bit of a protest movie in a really interesting way. And so that felt incredibly topical and rousing, you know, for these group of girls who, you know, give their life to these moves and practice and work really hard. And then they get deducted for really ridiculous, archaic things like their bra strap showing, even if they did a perfect routine.
Yeah. And they're
so
like
ultimately-
moving around, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So ultimately, they all kind of go through this whole protest where they kind of make the system work for them by all kind of like scratching and then letting who they think should win each routine go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I loved kind of this protest aspect that comes out of this film that you kind of think is this light thing. It's these girls kind of fighting against this kind of screwed up system, which just felt very much like, you know, we need to see things like that right now. And you don't expect it from a movie like this. And my niece, she did really enjoy the film, but I don't think she really tapped into that aspect. She was very much just like, oh, I wish we would see them like go to another competition at the end. Like that was all she kind of cared about, was like, why did they didn't like yes. Yeah. So she wasn't as roused as me from the kind of protest statement that this movie was.
How old is she?
14. So
Have her watch it again in 10 years.
Well, she should watch Make It or Break It. The TV show Make It or Break It. It's all about gymnastics.
Make
and
or
it's
Break
like
It?
Make It or Break It. It's all about like these girls trying to be like professional, like Olympic gymnasts, and it's like 4 girls, and it's like talking about their life. I think she might enjoy that. Teenage girls.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. So she's definitely into films like that. We also did a little double feature with Blast from the Past as well, and she really liked
Blast
it.
from the Past.
So
Such a weird film.
Yes,
Yeah,
her and me
great
were
film.
swooning over Brendan Fraser. So I'm like, we're watching The Mummy next that night.
Oh yes.
Nice. Nice. Gotta love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't know, Jeff Bridges is in this movie, so if you need another draw, please, check out Stick It.
He's a very surprising, unexpected kind of like what's
Jeff
he doing
Bridges,
here? But it works.
I love him, but in this movie, it was like
Oh my
it was
goodness,
like
my
I don't know
theory
if he
is
had
going
like
off.
I don't know if it was something going on with him or something like that, but like it looked like he had no teeth in his mouth the entire like film.
That's just I think how he
Interesting.
talks.
Yeah, I just think
I think that was
I think
that's
that is
before
how he
the
talks.
gruff, right?
Yeah.
He has the
Yeah.
gruffness
No,
He's a bit
now.
of a
This was
gummy
pre-gruff.
talker.
Yeah, he was like a bit of a
Yeah, he
gummy
was a
talker
gummy
in that
talker,
in that film, and I was like, I just felt like it was a character choice, but I was like, I don't know if I
Yeah.
would have clicked that choice. But
Well,
I feel like it was a
he
character
has
choice.
to have this like he has an arrogance that he needs about him
Yeah.
because he's an old gymnast himself, and now he's like, I
like,
train
whenever
Olympic
he-
gymnasts.
But it's
you
like
know.
whenever he hopped into the scene, it's like he popped gum before he did it. I'm just saying.
Huh?
It was always,
No, I think you're right. I think he actually
Yeah.
chewed gum a lot in the movie too.
Yeah,
so
I think
that
he did,
could have
yeah.
been part of it.
Yeah.
I always remember
when you watch
Go
Hell or
ahead,
High
Brett.
Water, it's definitely like that.
It's very
like,
all
Yeah.
gummy.
it's like
Yeah.
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 Vanessa Lingies, or I don't know how to say her last name, but I think that's how you say it. She was also in Waiting. She played
Yeah.
the girl that was the hostess. She is
She used to be around a lot.
surprisingly funny.
She's
so
hilarious
funny.
in Stick It.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As
She used
kind
to
of
be she used to be in a lot of stuff,
snobby.
and then she just kind of disappeared.
She did. She just disappeared. But that that is the business.
She's like our
Absolutely.
snobby little antagonist character.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But she's like insecure at the same time. It's all coming from a place of insecurity. So like
Yeah.
towards the end, I enjoyed her character because when she got the little boyfriend or whatever, I was like, she need this in her life. She needs
my
this.
Sorry.
niece definitely had a lot of fun with that character. She was laughing.
We're
a
gonna
lot.
make Brian watch this movie. That's what it's boiling down to.
Oh.
I'm kidding. If you
Brian with an
if you
O.
liked Bring It On at all, even
I
just
did.
a little bit, then you
Yeah,
would like
this-
this. Same writer.
yeah.
So
Yeah, it's in the same
Oh,
vein. So,
interesting.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm one of those people that's like, I like Stick It, and people are like, you do, and I'm like, yes, I do, and it's
Yeah.
funny, and I don't care what you
Yeah.
say. I think it's a funny movie.
1999. So yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Really fun.
But that could also be why a lot of people, avoided it. Anyway, so I did get to. Wow, you didn't mention a movie, so I didn't know if we were skipping. Okay, we just want to make sure. I didn't want to.
I
They wanna
ain't
do
seen
that to you.
Nothing.
We have been going through my poster that my wife got me, this 250 films poster, as well as the fact that I'm trying to watch 365 films this year. So I am just gathering movies from wherever I can. And so this poster has a bunch of like AFI style films on it, things that everybody should watch before they die, if you will, something like that. And I got to watch The Gold Rush, which is one of Charlie Chaplin's most popular films, even though a lot of his stuff is really popular. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is that my wife has been delving into these movies with me, and she's been fairly resistant to classics because they're a lot. There's a lot there, and it can be kind of slow. But this movie doesn't matter that it was 1925. It is so funny. Like we were like cry laughing during this movie.
Damn.
Which I did not expect. And it's not like I haven't laughed at other movies he's made, or even I watched The General, which I told you about, Brian, which was good, and there were funny parts. But this one, like, there was a moment where I could see my wife almost falling off the couch because she was laughing so hard. And I don't want to say when or where, just go watch it. But it is essentially one of the many Charlie Chaplin stories where the tramp, or little tramp, whatever you want to say, character is in another debacle. And in this case, he's up in Alaska trying to hunt for gold, although he never one time picks up a shovel. So whatever. But it's fun. It's ridiculous. It's slapstick, but it's not like Three Stooges slapstick. It's a little bit more grounded. That has heart. It's got a positive feeling. Like it's pretty great. And I do think if you're going to watch these movies, again, I always say this: watch these silent films at a little faster pace. Watch them on YouTube if you can, and go to like 1.25 speed. It gives the pacing more like what we are used to today, and it makes it more palatable. But it also shortens them, so that's nice. It's a little bit shorter. But watch this with a group, because having a couple people around and like the dialogue you guys might add in can help as well, because there's a lot going on, but you're talking about it because you're only reading title cards every so often, right? So but yeah, this is a weird thing, but I'm telling you, this is as funny as some of the comedies I saw growing up in the 90s and 2000s. Like, I thought it was that funny.
Cool.
So check it out if you haven't already.
Nice.
All right. So we have two movies that we did come here to talk about, which is The Kitchen, which are The Kitchen. Listen to me, terrible with my English. The Kitchen and Fresh Kills. And we are going to get to Fresh Kills second. But we are going to start with The Kitchen, which was actually a comic book movie, which is really weird to think about, but it's a Vertigo comic.
Vertigo, yeah.
Which means it's grittier, The Boys kind of thing.
Right.
If you will. Stars Melissa McCarthy, Tiffany Haddish, and Elizabeth Moss, as well as Donnell Gleeson. Donnell Gleeson, I think I said that right? Donald. Sorry, because it's Irish. Donald Gleeson.
Yeah. There you go.
Directed by Andrea Berloff, who also did Straight Outta Compton, is the one I'd say she's most known for. So why don't we start with Brian, who picked the movies this week, and see what you thought of The Kitchen.
The Kitchen. Yes. So I saw this one when it first came out. So this is the second time I've seen it. So that tells you like what I kind of thought about it, like a little bit, because like I saw it and then like kind of immediately forgot about this movie. It has some good. I mean, it's not completely, terrible. But it is like kind of like, it just doesn't hit for some reason. There's certain things, like I feel like there's some certain casting choices that are off. I feel like there's like some pacing issues. And what's interesting too about like whenever we do this, I mention this all the time, but like when we watch two films that are kind of like next to each other, back to back, like those things become much more, apparent.
Right.
Where like I almost feel like this one could have benefited from like stretching things out a little bit more and getting a little more development with some stuff. I feel like some things are just like answered, be like, "Oh, this is happening," and this just happened, and that's just accept it and move on and keep going. Like they're really trying to like make it under 2 hours for, which is like which can be a thing. Like the shorter a film, the more screenings you can get in a theater and
Yeah.
potentially more money. So I feel like the main cast was pretty good. Sometimes it's tough to watch like Melissa McCarthy. Like she's great in some parts, but then sometimes it feels it didn't feel like she like knew what she
How
wanted
to
to
play it.
be. At
Yeah.
certain parts,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
because sometimes she was very timid, but then there's like it's like even after moments where she had like gotten
Established
some
kind of
power,
being this
Yeah.
boss.
Yeah.
She's
then
still
she
kind of
she would go
kind
timid
of curls
again.
back in. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. And also when you watch these two films too, like not to compare them because they are very different,
But it's hard not to at the same time a little bit.
yeah, with like similar subject matter and
Mhm.
whatnot. But this one feels like it is a comic book to me. Like it felt,
Yeah.
especially watching this, I was paying more attention to like the cinematography, which I feel like the cinematography is great. They did a good job, but it's like almost too polished. Like it's too vivid. It's very bright. It feels like a comic book to me. And it's supposed to be set in like 78, and some of the stuff just didn't, I don't know, it just felt too, just didn't feel real enough for me. And some of it was like kind of pulled me out and not believable. Where like Fresh Kills, even like the way they do the dialogue, which we'll talk about, but just like it just felt like like I was just watching real people do, real things. And
It felt kind of like costumes and stage.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Like they really wanted to hit home this, like, hey, it's the 70s.
The 70s.
And,
yeah. Like a nudge, hey.
Yeah.
I think they thought the soundtrack would carry them. I think
totally.
Right?
Yeah,
just the needle drops alone would be
right.
sell the period. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if it didn't, I mean, Fleetwood Mac, I'm sure sold it for you because geez, every 2 seconds that was a theme song. I was like, we get it.
This was reestablished in Guardians 2. We don't need this brought back. I'm kidding. Of course, I'm kidding.
So, so like I thought like the overall it's like I think it's worth watching. I think it's not terrible, like I said, by any measure, but it is kind of forgettable. Like once you watch it, you're kind of okay. Yeah.
Wait, what did we watch again? I totally forgot.
Well, and like yeah. So, but
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Lava, what did you think of The Kitchen?
Kind of similar feelings that Brian has. I will say I enjoyed the story more than I enjoyed the acting. I'll say. I don't think the acting was terrible. I just don't think they were in the pocket they needed to be in.
Yeah.
It's like it was like, okay, this happened. All right, that happened, but it didn't it wasn't seated well enough for me to be like, yo, this just happened. Like, oh my gosh. So like I felt like it was very on the surface. Everything seemed to come very easily to these girls. And like it felt like there was no hardships. And then when you think there is a hardship, it was like, well, we ain't gonna kill you. I just want to be in business with you. And it's like
and then they were like, okay. And then it's like
all right, what they do? And I'm just like, why wouldn't you kill the competition? Kill them, and like the whole thing is yours. You don't have to share any money. So it felt like they had heavy plot armor, except for Elizabeth Moss. But everybody had like, but everybody
for me was the most interesting character.
No, like I would say acting wise, she like no pun intended, she killed everybody. acting wise,
she probably does kill the most people in the movie too. Actually,
no facts. So actually, the kill count for her is like kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's funny.
But she's the best actress there, and so like watching her scenes felt like a gritty Vertigo comic book as opposed to watching like Tiffany Haddish and Melissa McCarthy scenes.
Like the bathtub scene with her.
Listen,
like
that
scene
development
with her.
I like that scene
and learning about how to do these things.
Those two were very like, oh my gosh. She was just like, yep. She was taking notes, and I was like,
and there's like a little bit of humor there too.
A little bit.
So it's like I just. I didn't have a bad time with the film. I just wish that they could have. It could have been I
Wow.
felt like it could have been way more than what it was if they would have maybe just like stripped it a little bit of itself. Like it felt like we about to make a girl boss movie. Every girl gonna like it. They gonna be on top. Watch what happens. And it's just like, okay,
Yeah, it had like there's like potential there,
yeah,
right?
it's like
Definitely.
You
Because
know,
the
absolute
story is
potential.
really interesting. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The story
Yeah,
to me was like the greatest thing, like the build up, the setup, like
Yeah.
they getting out. What are they going to do? Like all these type of things.
Yeah. Well, their
Even
husbands are away.
right,
Yeah.
Right.
even the moves, some of the moves that like Melissa McCarthy's character was making was smart. Like the way she offed her husband, I get that too, because you brought kids to a person you don't know, that you don't know if he's my competition or not. He could off all y'all.
Right.
And you did this because you gotta stay home with the kids? Like,
yeah, exactly. Because
I'd have been like,
like
right. I'd have been like,
Right,
kill him for
yeah.
sure. So like the movie had moments where I was like, you dang Skippy, you do it that way. You do it this way. But it still just overall kind of just seemed like this. There was like no heartbeat for me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it
yeah.
just felt like this. So I think different actors, except for Elizabeth Moss, but I think Melissa McCarthy and Tiffany Haddish weren't cast correctly for me.
Yeah.
And because it's like you put two comedic actresses with a dramatic actress, and that just didn't.
Oh yeah.
Into a dramatic role.
The scales, right? And the
Right.
scales were like
Yeah.
crazy, right? So like
They
maybe
didn't even
if you
take
would've
advantage
added,
and make them joke enough. Like, had they thrown some jokes
right,
in
like
there, it
maybe
might
if
have
you
worked.
would have,
Yeah. Some
like
levity in
I
there.
did
Yeah.
like Tiffany Haddish like L'Chaim when she like left the room, because it
Right.
was just like a funny intimidation type of thing or whatever. But like I did like that. But I agree, if they kind of stuck to like what made them funny a little bit, because you can still be like dramatic and funny, right? You can still
Oh yeah.
have that,
And funny.
and
Yeah.
they
Well, like Elizabeth Moss did it. You know.
right,
Yeah,
absolutely,
she
Yeah.
did it. Right. She
Yeah.
was the funniest
she
person in
did
the
it,
movie.
and she was
Yeah.
the most dramatic person, and she was the most
Right.
compelling person. And
Yeah.
they were like, it's too much of that. Go and get her up out of here. And I'm just like,
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
movie's over now because she's
Yeah.
gone. But
Yeah.
yeah,
It would
it
almost
just felt
be
like
it'd be interesting
no
to see
heartbeat.
Elizabeth Moss and Melissa McCarthy's characters swapped, or like
Ooh,
them
Her be the
swap.
boss. Yeah.
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 Like they're
Honestly, I thought
Interesting.
that was kind of how the film was going to go, because when she
Mm.
made the comment,
Mhm.
like when she made the comment to Tiffany Haddish's character, like, "Don't you ever threaten like Charlie again? Like you
Yeah.
don't threaten him like that." I was like, she about to kill everybody. Like this could have easily turned into like an assassin film with her, and I would have been okay.
Yeah.
I don't care about the kitchen. You know what I mean?
See, I was
don't
thinking
really
if
care.
it was
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
if it was
what?
just Gabriel and Claire and just
There you
make a
go,
movie
Gabriel.
about
There you
them,
go.
I would have
Yeah,
enjoyed
Charlie.
that movie.
Yeah.
Right?
You know,
Yeah.
like yeah. Totally.
Janine, what did you think of The Kitchen? I know you've already given some of that, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely agreeing with everybody here. You know, I was interested to see these two really comedic actresses play
Same.
into more serious stuff,
Absolutely.
but they just were not very consistent, like Brian was saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't think we really got to know them either, like on a personal level. Like they just
Mhm.
gave us kind of surface details about them, and so
Yeah.
we don't really get invested in caring about them. Even with, I think Elizabeth Moss is the character we get to know the most. I think that's why we
Right.
care about her the most, and
Mhm.
her whole relationship with Donald Gleason. I really liked that
Mhm.
whole plot point. I'm in Donald Gleason. I was kind of like, hey,
No,
I know.
maybe I do like gingers.
The moment he shot, I love a ginger. It's like, I
Right?
love me a ginger. But the moment he
Yeah.
shot old boy that was trying to
Yeah,
like, get her,
exactly.
like,
Like because
I
I've
was like,
never
he's-
seen him like that before. So
I
I was
said
like,
Right.
he's the one, right? I was like,
Sure.
not a Weasley. I said not a Weasley.
not a
nigga.
Weasley, right?
I said,
Not the
oh,
eldest
man.
Weasley.
You
Yeah.
feel me? Like,
Right? Yes. But yeah, like that was the most interesting storyline, and so when she was gone, I really just did not care anymore.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
And we
like,
have
end
this,
of it.
yes, and we have this like really interesting double cross, but that wasn't well set up, so that didn't
No.
play very well either. Especially kind of even that playing into the really abrupt ending. Like we have a
Right.
bit of a standoff, and
Yeah,
then it
like
just kind of
what?
ends. Like, wait, that's the end of the movie. What is happening?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like a little cap gun that goes poof. Like
Yeah.
right at the
Yeah,
end. You're like,
it was
okay.
annoying because it
Dud
was just
caps.
very much like, I don't trust you, you don't trust me, but let's stay in business
Let's just do
together.
it.
Like,
Okay,
this
at
makes
the
sense.
end.
Okay.
Yes. So, I mean, a really interesting premise, a
Mhm.
great
Mhm.
setup, and then it just kind of fizzled out. It just was not
Yeah.
consistent. We didn't get to know these characters on any kind of personal level to be invested or
Nada.
care about them, aside from Elizabeth Moss. And dare I say, the kitchen was undercooked.
Oh, I love it.
Wow.
So I want to
very good.
echo that idea that you were right, that we didn't get to know the characters very well. Had we gotten 10 minutes of get to know these ladies as moms and just in their day to
Yes, their
day,
personal lives with their
right?
husbands.
Then the
Yeah.
transition would have been
Honestly,
great.
what
We
was
would have
this?
seen them,
contrast
right?
of,
Wasn't I think this
Yeah,
movie
yeah.
was like an hour and 54 minutes.
Hour
or something?
42, actually.
Yeah,
42.
so-
Okay, an hour and
yeah.
42.
Yeah.
If they would have made it 2 hours,
They,
like
like,
fresh
were
still,
chopping
it
it
probably
up.
would have been pretty decent.
Yeah.
If they would have
Yeah.
made it 2 hours, because
Yeah.
the beginning of the film was very much like, here go our
Just,
stars.
here it is.
Here go,
Right.
here
Yeah.
you go, there you go, and then all right,
And then you're
prison.
off to the races. Like,
It
yeah.
also felt
Yes.
it felt like stylized. They were borrowing from a ton of other films, which is fine.
Oh
I
my
don't have a
God.
problem with that. But it felt
was
like they kept
so
trying to make the
trying to be-
Goodfellas, right?
Yeah, no, I was just saying, it's so
With the
trying to be a Scorsese
montages,
film.
yeah,
Like,
mhm.
Right,
yeah.
right.
Kind of the
But
snappy
then
montages.
Yeah.
they were like, if we make sure that we kill 85 people on screen, that'll be raw. That'll be
Right.
crazy.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, kill
But
count.
even,
We've
like-
seen it all, guys. We
Yeah.
don't
Right.
need kill count,
Yes.
right?
But even with the mother-in-law, they were really trying to give her like this Joe Pesci moment. And it was just like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I see what you're trying to do here.
But it's
and
like,
that- yeah, that
but
fell
also
flat
it's like
too,
you.
Yeah.
It did.
One of my biggest things about the film is I didn't know everybody's name really. So when they were bringing
Right.
up people's names,
That's a good
I was
point.
like,
Yeah, yeah.
who? Because so like when
Who?
she went to
What?
jail to see her husband, and she's like, "Where's Ruby?" And I was like, "Which one is Ruby?"
You're
Like,
like,
I don't
"What,
know
Ruby?"
who. I don't know
Where did
who.
Ruby come from? Like,
I
yeah.
was like, I don't know whose husband this
I still
is.
don't know who
Yes.
Ruby is. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
And then
And they could have
then-
played into
yeah.
some
I still don't
interesting
either.
things.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, like she's black in this society and people are
Right.
against
Right.
her.
It was just
Like,
Yeah, they
touched
didn't even
upon.
play
It was
into
just
that. Like,
sprinkled
They could
no,
have
throughout.
totally.
yeah, they could have
Yeah, it was
like,
just sprinkled
developed that
throughout.
more. You know, Melissa
Yeah.
McCarthy being a mother, dealing with all of this.
Mhm.
There were things with these characters that could have really tapped
They're
into us getting
real.
to
Well,
know
they
them,
didn't really
caring
show us
about
her
them,
kids till
surrounding the
late.
story. Yes, but
Mhm.
they didn't care to focus on any of that. So
No.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
it just
All
felt
the
very
personal stuff was left
under-executed.
aside
It's like
for
they thought, like,
exposition
yeah.
and for
And-
style.
And yeah, that's what
Yeah.
they thought. They were like, "This is gonna kill him," and I'm like, "No, the story should kill us." Like, and the
Right.
rest of it
Right.
should just lift
Just,
up
like,
the
let it-
story.
Right.
You got 3 actresses; these are the ones you're focusing on, but we don't know anything about
Nothing
them.
about them.
And the
About
only
anything.
reason,
Yeah.
and the only reason we care about Elizabeth Moss's character is because of the trauma, right? You kind of get
Right.
attached
Yeah.
to it because of the trauma. But like even with her, there wasn't we just knew she got abused. There
Mhm.
still wasn't like anything on her background, but she was still the
Right.
most compelling. But there was
Yes.
still not much about her background, just like everybody else.
Right. Yeah.
Because like how did Ruby even meet Kevin? Because I think that's his name. Lord help me. But
Yes, and what was so special about her that made him
Yeah.
choose her?
right, they
despite
made him choose her.
what his mother thought and everyone else in you know in
Mhm.
their
Exactly.
society
Like, to
thought.
me,
Yeah,
Interesting, like because she made the quip like I never loved you anyway. You were just a way for me to get to the top because a girl, black girl can't get to the top. But then when you saw him
Right.
dead, you almost broke down and cried.
Yeah, that was weird.
Right. I know.
yeah, the kiss that she gives
I was
him,
like-
like
So like
thought
part
that
of
was
me
odd.
is
Yeah.
like part of me was like you did love him, but like maybe if we saw something ahead of time, it would just
Right,
inform that scene better.
yeah, that
like
conflict
which
would have
is
been interest. The conflict of her like really having to
Exactly.
kill him,
And
but
it's-
I love
and
him.
yeah.
But,
Right.
exactly
greater
and the
good
same
or
thing
whatever,
with,
yeah.
She was acting like this hard ass the
Melissa
whole time.
McCarthy
right
as
the
well,
whole
yeah.
time.
And then,
Yeah, I was about to say that with Melissa
Right.
McCarthy as well. Like the same
Yeah.
thing happened with her.
Hers
when-
was better, I think, a little better
Yeah,
because
yeah.
Right.
I think part of her
understood-
didn't believe they would necessarily kill him. As much as I think she knew, part of her walking out was still like the wife that was like, "Oh, my husband died."
right.
Like I think there was definitely like a
Yeah.
moment there, and she
But
played
just
it
showed
better, I
me
think.
those
Than,
two. It just showed me Melissa's character and Tiffany's character were like still weak, even though they were projecting this like tough exterior. Because
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Elizabeth Moss was the only character that was probably down. That was like,
Right. Oh yeah.
I'm gonna shake this up if it needs to be shaken, type of thing. And those two was just like it felt very postury. Because you go from being like,
Yeah.
this is our stuff to being like, oh, please don't kill him. No, don't kill my husband. And it's just like, it's just so
It's weird.
uneven. It's
Yeah.
just-
Yeah. Yeah.
either
Can
you're
we
a
talk
boss or
about
you're
the
not.
fact? Can we talk about the fact that Common is in this movie, but really
Uh-huh.
for no reason?
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
Common is not a great actor. He has his avenue
No.
that he should kind of stay in, but when he
Uh-huh.
tries to kind of play, maybe villainous or dominant in any way, it doesn't.
Mhm.
It doesn't
Well,
work.
and like,
Honestly,
what is
for
the
me,
end all
him-
be all of his character? Why do we even
Yes,
follow the
I
cops
know.
at all?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
They don't do
just
anything.
Kind of play
No.
into the half baked
it ties into
Yeah,
that
the double-
betrayal.
Right.
That
Yeah.
one
Right.
thing of her having him on the payroll and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you don't even.
It is
Man, I don't.
No,
Man, I
no.
don't care
You
because
don't
you don't
care.
even
Right.
see how did they meet? Did he do a
Yeah.
like? Did he pick her up one day?
Yeah,
Like, how did
because
she
they
know?
try to
like-
tease it because we see someone in the bed while she's sitting in that chair, but
Right.
they don't show who it is, and then
Yeah.
they reveal it's him, and it's supposed to be like,
Uh-huh.
oh my, but I didn't care,
Right. And I get
knew
it. She's the one that set him
There's
up.
no
Tell us
hint
too.
to it.
it's
It
him.
was-
Yeah,
Yeah.
It just
There's
the,
no
the
like.
payoff wasn't a payoff. It was like,
No.
oh,
No
Yeah.
payoff.
It was funny too when they show that scene before they reveal it's common. Like
yeah,
they show it's just like this giant lump in the bed, and I'm just like,
right. I'm like, is
Are
she
she-
like
is she watching
Honestly,
watching after her
going at
mother?
it?
no, I
Yeah.
thought the same
Yeah,
thing.
or she like trying to protect her mother, who
Right.
like,
Like,
what
who's
is
in the
who's
bed.
in this bed?
Right.
Like,
Or
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
like,
maybe there's something with common because I knew they were dating in real life at the time, so I was like,
oh,
No, right,
yeah,
absolutely,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
yeah.
No,
so
no,
I kind
my
of
But also,
brain,
thought
she looked,
about
like
that.
disappointed.
my brain
in a way,
had
like, what
so
the-
many emotions during that scene. I was
It
like,
Yeah.
clear.
I was like,
Like,
is
what
she
is
in the
this?
hotel room that
It
the
was
ex- that
unclear.
the
Is this
husband was
body
in
horror?
with the
Like,
girl?
what's
I'm like, is she about to kill them? Like, I
Right.
thought she was in that hotel room.
Yeah,
Because I was like,
she's
it looked
stuck in
like.
there.
I'm like,
Yeah,
cause she
yeah,
just sitting there like, oh,
She's
okay, this how
watching,
you,
and they're gonna
this
wake
how
up, and
you
it's
want
gonna
to
be
play
like
it, like.
a dominant
Yeah.
stance that she's trying to make an
Right, so weird.
intimidation move.
I
Yeah,
was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it was
Right,
hard
that's
to
what-
read.
yeah,
No,
I didn't know what
totally,
that was.
totally.
And then when they
This whole
replayed it,
movie
I was
feels like
like
that, though, right?
Right.
The whole movie feels jarred like that or
Ex-
disrupted
no,
in one way or
absolutely.
another.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Also, I know I agree with the cinematography. I do think it's a well-crafted film. I think it's beautifully shot. It's fine.
No,
It
listen,
does
it's
it does its
nice.
job.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. But at the same time, who the hell? Why does it have to be dark? Just because it's 1978 doesn't mean you have to turn everything down and make it incredibly too
Or
dark to
think
see.
that makes it more gritty. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
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 I noticed that in the preview and watching it
contrasted-
next to Fresh Kills.
Yeah, especially when contrast to like the daytime scenes that are so vivid and
Right.
so like everything's it's like
Yeah.
like I said, to me it felt like very vivid, that comic book
Yeah.
polished
Absolutely.
film. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And it
Yeah,
felt
they
like
were-
a
I don't
comic
know.
book in a sense where like only certain things were brighter than other things.
Yeah.
Like the things that they wanted you to hint at, like when they dropped all the like, I don't know, guess like
The
animal
hearts?
blood, like the whatever that was. I
It
don't know
looked
what
like
was in the
hearts to me. I
bags.
don't know.
I don't know what was in the bags, but the
Oh
bloody
yeah,
bags
yeah,
in front
yeah.
of the
That-
Jewish
all the trash,
in the
like,
Jewish neighborhood and everything.
Yeah.
The blood was so bright and everything else around it was like
Right.
it wasn't like muted down, but it wasn't as bright as the blood. So it was like they wanted to specifically say that look
Yeah.
at this.
There's blood.
Like, very splat kaboom pow type of thing,
Right.
like on the screen. But
Yeah.
I just for something directed by a woman, starring 3 women, I really felt like it could have just been handled a little bit better. Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand why it couldn't be handled in the same way as like Goodfellas or Godfather, or like just like it could have just been handled. I felt like they made it too snappy and it needed to be more grounded. It was just very
Yeah.
snappy. They cut out a
No,
lot.
this is a Warner Brothers film, so this could be a lot of studio interference for all we know. I mean,
Could
there's
be.
there's a possibility there.
Yeah, possibility.
Especially knowing Warner Brothers loves to meddle.
Hmm.
They're terrible about that. Hopefully they leave James Gunn alone. Leave him alone. Let him do his thing.
No, I don't think that'll bother him.
I hope not. I think he's proven himself.
He's proven
made
he can make
billions,
money,
so,
right? He's
yeah.
proven he can make money. They won't bother him until he has a flop or something. They'll be like, hey,
Right, he'll have a
what did
flop,
you
or
do?
if he says something they don't like, then they'll
Exactly.
bother him.
Exactly.
All right, why don't we rate the kitchen and move on to Fresh Kills? Let's go in the same order, and I will try to make sure that I do this in a different order so that nobody copies anyone.
That's
Brian,
That's fine.
Brian, what do you think of the kitchen? What do you rate the kitchen?
Yeah, it's tough, but I mean, like I said, it's pretty forgettable. So I'm gonna say a 6.5. Yeah.
6.5. All right, La, what do you think? 6.5, or are you gonna try branching
No,
out?
I'll give it a 7 because, like I said, I like the story.
Yeah.
I'll never watch it again.
Oh.
Like I'll never watch it again. But unless somebody around me wants to watch it, like I always say, like if somebody around me wants to watch it. But I give it a 7 because like it had moments where I really did enjoy it. It had like the story itself was really good. Ironically enough, I didn't see the double cross coming, but like I probably should have. But I guess I wasn't invested to care to watch this
No,
scene.
well, they don't set it up well enough.
no, they-
No,
I-
they're like,
Not at all.
yeah.
I was just like, all right, kill each
Like,
other
all
at
right,
this
I
point.
guess this
Let
happened now.
the,
Like,
let
yeah,
the neighborhood be okay at this point. Like, I don't know.
right.
Because all of y'all messed up the neighborhood at this point, and so it just
Oh,
felt
yeah.
it just felt incomplete in some
Totally.
ways.
Yeah.
So I'll
Her
give it a
speech.
7.
Nice.
Her speech about I'm trying to make this neighborhood better, and I'm like, by killing everyone? I mean, okay, like you
No,
do
like
you.
literally.
Janine, what did you want to rate The Kitchen?
Yeah, just very underdeveloped and kind of a lot of wasted potential there. I give it a 6.
Respect.
I'm gonna echo that 6. I agree with the 6.
Respect.
It's, again, I think it gets a 6 because there's
Something there, but
the
yeah.
potential is why it gets a 6. Like there are plenty of movies that get a 6 because they could have been something, and I don't know. Maybe one day we can stitch all the
If you
6s together
put
to make
Jennifer
something good.
Esposito in Melissa McCarthy's
Oh
spot,
shit, that's a whole different movie.
Dude.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And maybe Taraji P. Henson and Tiffany Haddish
Ooh,
spot.
there you go.
I'm just saying. With Elizabeth Moss, that would have been a kitchen that would have been on fire.
And
You
the
understand?
length, so we can establish a character development. That's
Yeah.
the one other thing. Get all that going, and you got an 8 on your hands.
Yeah, it did make Daniel Kaluuya the comment of this.
Ooh.
And but it's
But, like,
international.
you gotta give
because
him
it's
more,
international
though, too, 'cause
level.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you gotta
Daniel's
add more.
too- yeah,
Absolutely, you
Daniel's
gotta
too
add
good
more.
to, like,
You gotta add
waste
more. No,
on that.
absolutely,
Yeah,
you gotta
yeah,
add
yeah.
more.
He
You
can't
gotta-
just stand around brooding. That's not
Right,
gonna work
you gotta.
out. Right.
They actually barely gave my boy lines. I think he only had one line.
Totally.
His entire movie.
Right. Yeah.
All he said was,
Barely in this
"Call
movie.
the cops." I think he said he was like,
Right.
"Let's go,
He's
let's
like-
go." Or something. That's all he said.
And then he got his ass kicked, right? Like right away.
Right.
Immediately, like
Immediately.
Yeah.
Totally.
All right. So we're going to move on to Fresh Kills. This is written, directed, and starring Jennifer Esposito.
Produced
And produced, yeah.
all
She put
Distributed,
All the
yeah.
things.
a
House.
ton
All
of
the-
herself
yeah.
into this movie.
All the things.
Literally.
Yeah.
I know that Law had a pretty vivid reaction to this movie. I also did. I kind of want to just get it out of the way so I can
Yeah, go first, Snitty. Go
say,
ahead.
yeah. As Brian alluded to earlier, the dialogue in this movie
It's tough.
feels like you're listening to people. The moment where our main character has a panic attack and starts saying, "I don't know what to do," I broke down. I was like, "Oh my god!" I've literally sat and thought
Yeah.
this in a moments myself, and it's like Jennifer reached into my soul and like ripped something out for me to look at, and I was like, "What the hell are you doing?" I thought this was just a mob movie. I didn't think that I was gonna feel what I felt, and I spent a lot of time trying to deal with this movie afterward. Which I didn't expect. I like genuinely was like, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be from a cool perspective. And I love the way it kind of unfolds and we get to see what we know is true, but like we get to see the characters slowly figure out the truth. And I liked that because it slowly lays it out for you. Again, that slow burn that people can learn about things like with The Kitchen. I don't know. This is such a beautiful film because you get to see the side of all the mafia movies that you never get to see because you always see the glorification and the violence and the I'm a badass and I'm a made man and da 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 da.
Yeah.
And you literally don't see any of that in this movie, which I love. It alludes to it and it talks about it, but it doesn't show it. And if you've seen any mafia movie, you don't need to. It's right here for you. But that was the thing. That moment is the thing I wanted to talk about the most. That moment where I was like, "Holy shit! This dialogue feels like she sat with and listened to me and then wrote it down." Not about the details, but about the feeling. I guess is a way to put that.
Yeah.
I will digress because I don't want to take all the time. Let's go in reverse order. Janine, what did you think of Fresh Kills?
I absolutely loved this movie. I loved seeing kind of the fallout and the burden on women in these kind of families because, like, a lot of films really kind of glorify it. And we don't get to see how it affects, the other side of things, the women who aren't in it, but are kind of forced to have to be a part of it. Rose's character, I love that we get so much visual storytelling with her in terms of, she, for a big chunk of the film, it doesn't outright say how she feels about this, but we know exactly how she feels about it from her silence, from the seeing her in juxtaposition to other characters and kind of her face in those moments. The disappointment, or somebody asks her a direct question about a situation, she just stays quiet. Opening the film with her being this character who just doesn't speak and has been afraid to speak. But the performance there just kind of showing us how she feels as opposed to just outright telling us until we get this big
Yeah.
blow up between the two sisters, I think was
Man.
such a
Yeah,
smart
yeah.
choice.
Mhm.
I loved what you were saying, Sniddy, about the anxiety attacks and the panic attacks, because I have dealt with those kind of for the first time in the last few years. I've actually,
Mhm.
you know, had moments like that. So that felt incredibly relatable. Just how grounded this film felt. I mean, and it felt very era specific. We didn't need a ton of ridiculous needle
Yeah,
drops and
right.
things like that.
Mhm.
Like we felt like we were in
And
that
if
time.
you don't love me now.
Yeah, we didn't
That song was in my head the whole time after
right? Yes.
like
We didn't need the Fleetwood in there.
yes.
Yes, but great performances. I loved getting to see the different perspectives. Annabelle Shora's performance really kind of resonated with me as an aunt, and
Mhm.
really wanting to be like an advocate and a sounding board for my nieces. You know, when kind of your parents are maybe too close to a situation or have other
Yeah.
things to focus on, and don't really see your side of things. And the fact that she felt a lot of disappointment and shame for not being that sounding board
Mhm.
for her
Mhm.
niece. I really kind of resonated with that, because I don't want to be that kind of aunt. I want to be somebody who sees something and can be
Yeah.
there for them. So
Mhm.
that scene was a scene that always really kind of sticks with me. But great performances. It looked great. Really interesting shooting scenes. I think I really like the scene in the car when they do this really kind of circle shot of everyone around the
Yeah.
car, and Rose
Yep.
is just kind of sat there like feeling stuck in
Right.
this situation. Yeah, so just a really well made, smart
Mhm.
film and a great story.
Mhm.
All right,
Yep.
La, what do you think?
Give me a
Uh-oh.
moment. Listen, this film messed me up in the best way.
Oh yeah.
Cause okay, little background on me. Just a real quick little background on me. Like I didn't grow up in a mob family. Okay. Like it's not a day. But my dad did do things very similar to the lead
Right.
actor's dad in this film. And so like I've
Mhm.
been a part of a similar type of life, and I am the youngest child, and I felt like I always had to keep my mouth closed and keep people's secrets and not say things, which is probably why I talk so much now. um,
You don't
because
talk very much.
thank you, I appreciate it. So it's like just seeing like the wear and tear on the mom. Like my mom went through a lot. I won't put her business out like that, but she did go through a lot, and
Mm.
I witnessed her go through a lot, and I witnessed her strength in trying to hold a family together when it felt like everything around her was like it's going to break, it's going to, you know, disintegrate in front of your eyes. So like this film just hit me in a place, especially like the last like few minutes of like when she's now an adult, like her sister's gone, she's an adult, she's like raising her niece, and
Yeah.
then like her dad comes back and like, oh, we're supposed to act like when she had that
Yeah.
big blow
Yeah.
up, and I tell you, I
Yeah. It
was
was like
like, I was
it was like
uncontrollably sobbing, like I was
Yeah.
like I couldn't control myself
Mhm.
with the emotions that I felt, because like not only did I feel them for her, but I felt them for like my younger self, my current
Mhm.
self. Like I guess I had some stuff that needed to be brought up that wasn't brought up in my years,
Yeah.
but like I don't
Same
know,
as
this
the
Thank you for
character.
that, Jennifer.
yeah, same as a
Yeah.
character, and so this film was like, it was beautifully made. The 2 hours were used magnificently because I didn't
Right.
realize it was 2
Yeah.
hours. So
Right.
the pacing was just amazing on it. Every actor hit their mark, was living in these characters.
Mhm.
Yep.
So from an acting standpoint, for me, it felt like a masterclass to watch all these people like just be in their element, especially Jennifer Esposito. I've always been a fan of Jennifer Esposito, and I don't think that'll ever stop. um Emily Bader is now on my radar. I gotta go
Mhm.
watch the things that she's done because this is my first time. I know she's been in some things since I looked her up, but I
Yeah.
haven't seen them. So this is my first time seeing her. I love Odessa. I
Oh my
think
god. Yeah.
Odessa is
That's
Yes,
a
like
it's incredible.
Yeah.
she's a visceral type
yeah.
of actress. Like she puts herself into like, she just puts like 100% in everything she does. So like it was great seeing her back on screen. Like this film for me was just, this was crazy. big shout out to Jennifer because she
Yes.
not only wrote it, directed, produced it. Like she put her what Bryce say, she put her house up for collateral, right? Like she like mortgaged out her house or
Mortgaged her
something like
house
that.
to fund the movie. Yeah.
To fund the movie. Like that's how much she believed in this movie, and you can see that heart. You can see all of that in this movie. You can see like all her blood, sweat, and tears, and like I just wept for this girl because in a family in which you felt different, because I brought this film up to my mom because I want my mom to watch it, and I'll probably have her do a review about it when she's done because I want her to watch it. I was like, I used to ask my mom all the time when I was a kid, was I adopted? Because I never felt like I was supposed to be in this family. I didn't feel like I was like I couldn't resonate with anybody in my family. So watching her be very outside but inside of a family that she felt kind of uncomfortable in, it was like she wrote this about like a sliver of my life and then just added a mob twist to it type of thing. So like I think Fresh Kills is I could talk about it all day, but I won't.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. That's awesome.
I love it. Brian, I know you were a huge advocate for this film. You were talking about this film, especially when it was going up for hopefully the
how
award
I found
season.
it because of Brian. So,
You're the reason I found it as well.
Talk, baby, come on.
So tell us.
Brian was on it.
Yeah,
What
well,
do you think?
I mean, it's incredible. Like, this is only my second time seeing it, but it is a very surprising. Like it hits you, and you do not see it coming.
Yep.
God, like it's like even like talking about it right now, and I don't know why. Like there's no like connection for me as personally as far like especially not as much as like Law does, but for some reason there's a universal thing in this movie that Jennifer hits on, and like man, if I wasn't bawling again at the end of this watching it, because I was like a wreck the first time I watched it. I was like, what is happening? What like
right? I was
like,
confused.
Because it's just like, and at the same point in the movie, it hit me again. I was like, fuck.
Right? Like, Brian doesn't say fuck on this show very often. Let's just say that.
No, exactly. Yeah.
It is really just an excellent film. Like Jennifer Esposito and I were like became mutuals on TikTok. Somehow she like thought
you have good content.
I was like, okay, but this is before she was like making, making but things were underway, and she would like kind of like hint at things and talk about things. So I was like, okay, she's like gonna do this,
doing
she's
something,
like, Then it like went full force, and I was like all in on like, backing in, trying to support as much as I could, just like sharing things along. And then especially when she was like making the film, and then when it was finally released, I mean, I can only imagine this has probably been like 2-3 years of her life, just trying to get this thing out, and like nobody like wanted it. That was like still like, which I don't understand in like this day and age. Like when we have like Catherine Bigelow's out there making action movies, and like all these other great women filmmakers who like have proved their worth. Like why is this, and it turns out to be this right. Yeah. It turns out to be this incredible film. Like, like everyone said, like the pacing could not be more perfect.
More perfect. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And the way like scenes are shot, like there's things of like, people are talking over each other, like, and it's just, the dialogue feels like real, like Connie and Rose, like Rose is so perfect, but there's Connie though too, to like play off of.
The yin and the yang, right?
Yes. And it's just like, and there's just so many themes in this movie. I think that's why it like hits for so many people. Just this idea of like, you don't have a voice, like you don't have any agency, you just have to like, there's things about like the patriarchal, ideas and indoctrination. There's like misogyny, all kinds of stuff like this. I mean, like Jennifer Esposito's character in this, she's stuck. She has lived this life. She has
to make the best of it.
She's like, I'm in it. Yeah, she's like, I'm in it. This is it for me. I'm in it.
There's nowhere to go from here.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you
Connie
have this, like,
loves it. Yeah.
Yeah. she's like, and she only loves like a certain aspect of it, right? She's like
Yeah.
still this wild child and like loves
Yeah.
the action of it.
But
And
she
the
literally
Yeah.
wants to be like
She
her
loves
dad's
it.
like
right. She want
son. Like she
right.
wants to be her
Cars and
dad's
the
son.
money
Like
and
she wants to
boss and
be
having people afraid of
next to
you.
him,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
keeps like what he does for her, he does for like the nephew.
Right.
And
Like
it overshadows what you've done. Like
yeah.
it's I felt that from her too. Like even though she's a wild child, it was just like why would
Yeah.
you do
Just that
this?
look on her
Why would you
face,
give
like
us a
she
car on the same
immediately
day?
Right.
Like
right.
why
Or
would
even
you
in
do
the same
that?
10 minutes.
Right, the
Like
same
not
10
even
minutes.
yeah,
Right.
like not
It
even
didn't even let her
Right.
like bask in it, you
Enjoy
know.
it.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
okay,
Could have brought the car
Right.
tomorrow and be like, hey, I got one
Right.
for your cousin
right.
as well.
Yeah, yeah. It's just
Exactly.
that it's this whole thing of, you know, the son or wishing he had a son kind of thing, which they, you know, they allude to like there was a
That she did
miscarriage,
miscarry.
Potentially.
Yeah.
you know, which
Yeah.
is like
Mhm.
insane. But
Yeah.
and like and Janine talked about the scene with Annabella Sciorra and her like every actor gets their moment in this.
Yeah.
It feels like,
She
and
gets
that
hers
moment
for
near
sure.
the end, you know, when
Yeah.
she says the
She's
thing
like,
that
I'm
really
sorry.
the thing
Yeah,
yeah
I
the
sorry I
thing that
failed you. I
yeah
saw what you were feeling and I didn't do anything.
well the
Yeah.
thing that really spoke to me was like to me it wasn't that you didn't have anything to say, is that you had so
Too
much
so
to
much
say.
to say.
say.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah,
like,
that
oh
broke
my God,
me.
like,
That
yeah
part
yeah
broke
yeah
me
like
because that's
yeah
how I felt. I felt like I had so much to say,
yeah
but it was easier for me to just don't say anything because
yeah
it's like
because you don't want to ruffle the
I don't
feathers,
want
you
to
don't
ruffle
want
the
to like
feathers.
Yeah.
It
Yes.
yeah
seems to be fine, I guess.
mhm,
Like so,
yeah, you're
so
not
when she
trusting these
said
adults.
that, like I was just
Yeah.
like, I don't think I have any more water in my eyes. Like
Mhm.
I can't
No,
produce anymore.
There's something said about family in this movie that is it goes to all families. It's not just the mafia style family.
right
Absolutely.
That you are expected to toe the line in your family, and if you don't, you're out. And that's what
Yeah.
black sheep feel. And this movie is
Mhm.
about the black sheep and
Exactly.
how she literally is a black sheep that's not known to some degree. She stayed
right
so
Yeah.
reclused.
mhm,
She
That
just kept
scene,
getting
the
thrown
scene,
into things that she
right,
had to
that she
figure out
didn't
how
want to
to
be.
get out of.
Even like kicking
Right.
the people off her sisters, you know, that were
Yeah,
beating her
like
sister up. She didn't want to,
she didn't want
but
to,
she
but
did, right?
she just got this whole speech about family, which I felt like every
Right.
person in that family knew she was different, knew she was the one that would eventually get out and try to keep her there.
Right. They
Yeah.
were
Because if
jealous
I
in a
gotta
way.
be here,
right
you gotta be here. And
yeah
I'm like,
Well, and
and there's
boy,
I think her
it's her.
naivety is what we see through the film, because when we get to see that the bakery is a front, because it's, I mean,
oh yeah
obviously it's a front.
Absolutely.
right
Yeah.
yeah
It's dawning on her. Her naivety about that is something
Yeah.
that we get to watch unfold,
yeah
No,
which is great.
literally.
well I almost feel like
Um,
it's not necessarily there's some naivety like to it, but there's also like she has an awareness though too. She like doesn't fully trust or
Hmm.
you know her
Yeah.
dad this whole time, so she
Yeah.
knows
Yeah.
like no, there's something else to this. You don't just give your kids a
It's
bakery.
a bakery.
Like
right.
Yeah,
what's
because
going on?
it
And
Like
started
still
off
also
Connie's
including
right.
that boy cousin
Right, in
in
the
it
yeah
as
basement.
well.
Nobody
Right.
goes
yeah
in the
Yeah.
basement, and
Connie's
you know
Right.
that
stoked, of
he
course,
does.
but
Right.
Right.
yeah
Yeah.
But I
Because
think
that,
there's naivety of all the characters to some
no,
degree,
yeah,
because
Yeah.
the
but it
right
was,
sister
yeah yeah gotcha.
but it
Connie's
was like for
constantly like,
her,
Oh
like,
yeah, no, she's just all
yeah.
about dad and like yeah
For
everything
Rose,
else.
it was like
Yes.
it started with her being little and not like kind of being sheltered
Right.
from it in a sense.
Yeah, like him
Right.
Like
asking her when she's little, "Do you trust me to fly this plane?" This metaphor of this kind of
right,
Yeah,
unnamed,
she was
absolutely.
like,
like,
"Eh."
Like
and
it
she doesn't
started off
answer.
that way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
it started off with the trust, like, yeah, that's my dad. That's my dad.
Yeah.
Whereas Connie didn't get out of that's my dad.
Because
Rose
she
got
just was
out of the
excited about all
whole
the
like
things she got out of
that's
it.
my
Yeah.
dad, but like
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's some stuff going on. And like I had to like I think when I turned, I don't know, maybe in my early 20s, I finally saw who my dad was, like who I heard whispers about who he
Just like
was, where I
Rose,
would
right? Like, yeah.
where I would like not I but see I said something, I'd be like, he's fine. Like that's I'm defending somebody that I'm absolutely 1000% wrong about. And then
Yeah.
to have the wool pulled from under my eyes by physically seeing him in a certain space, it broke me as a kid.
Yeah.
So when she finally like yelled at him at the table, it broke
Yeah.
me. It like because
I believe that.
it was like she was saying things that I wish like I did end up saying before my dad died, but I wish I would have said it earlier
Yeah.
in my
Or
life
louder,
or
right?
louder
Yeah.
in my life.
Yeah.
So like just to watch her slow realization of like, because I had those moments in my head too of like people saying stuff about my dad, like when the kids were saying to her like, oh, so you know your dad paid for you to do this. Oh, we all know he's not an honest man, like things like that.
Right.
You know, that stuff sticks with you, and then when you finally see it, you're like, it's been here this entire time, and I just
right.
didn't pay attention.
For it. Yeah.
You get a sick feeling in your stomach when you make those realizations, right? You get that
Yeah.
at the top of your stomach, like,
Yeah.
like,
Which is why when she saw him on the news, when she was
Dear
trying to do
God.
the Sally
She felt that.
Destiny
Oh my
thing,
God,
she felt
that
that,
whole
and she
sequence,
threw up off of
she threw up.
sheer like
Yeah.
right.
it's-
Nerves. Her nerves made her puke. Yeah.
She was already
Um,
nervous, but then now I just said my name, and this man just came on
Yeah,
the news.
out loud,
Yeah,
like
everyone's
Out
looking
loud.
at me, and they all know my name, so they're probably making this
Exactly.
connection.
They're probably
and
making a
looking at me.
connection, not
and her
realizing
just
there's
like,
a lot of
yeah.
LaRussos out here.
even
Right,
if
there
it's
could be.
not, even if it's not the same LaRusso, it doesn't matter. You're going to
Right,
make
it
that connection
doesn't. No,
anyway, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It could be the
Um,
Karate Kid. You know, who knows?
Right.
But you
The
know what,
mastercraft, the mastercraft that Jennifer Esposito did, though, even with the foreshadowing, because I love that Connie is holding her sister and doing the airplane, right? They're doing the airplane, and then we get the airplane, right? And we get these subtle little things that you don't connect until you're done with the movie, and you're like, oh,
visual
yeah,
storytelling, so
right.
well executed.
so good.
Yeah.
I wanted it to keep going after she had her
Right.
niece in the bag, and she
That
she
scene,
looked at her
that
mom, and
scene,
her
man.
mom,
She just gives her that understanding.
as upset as her mom probably was, she did not want her to go. She understood she had to, because if not, because it was a generational thing, right? Like the aunt couldn't leave.
Yeah, man. No.
Like the aunt
that's
knew
the
she
thing,
wanted
it's
to
like
get
there
her
was-
out. Like the aunt wanted to do that. That's
They
why she
made
was
their
like,
The
bed.
aunt was Rose, right? In
right.
their
The aunt
relationship,
was
right?
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
in their
Yeah.
own sister dynamic. Yeah.
Which is why
Yeah,
she was
no,
like,
just-
Connie is so much like her mother, because she's been through that dynamic already.
Right. And like
Just thinking about that scene again now, I'm
No,
already
totally.
ready
I
to
know.
cry again.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's
The
so
moment she
emotional. Like,
walked away
what
with her
is
niece, I was like, okay, we going to the airport. I just didn't want the film to end. I was like, all right, cool, we
right.
going to the airport.
Yeah.
4 hours, Jennifer. Okay, this should have been 4
Yeah.
hours. We need Rose's story.
I needed more. I was
Yeah,
like,
no, I hear you.
I will
watch
say,
her
like,
get a job,
that-
live a life.
yeah,
Like, I love
that scene where she does finally, you know, it's like 1998 and
Mhm.
and dad is back, when she finally like just unleashes all this stuff. And also it's like the time when we like hear her cuss more too.
Yeah.
Like we don't really hear her
Yeah.
like say
Mhm.
anything like
Yeah.
really harsh, but then like that moment I was actually like rooting for her too, and that one was like,
Mhm.
yes, fucking tell him, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
tell him all
Mhm.
this stuff.
Yeah.
And like something that was different for me this time though, watching it, was like I actually got kind of emotional watching the scene where Connie's about to get jumped, or she's getting jumped.
Yes, and she has to get in
And
there.
then
Yeah.
and then Rose has to get in there. Like I got emotional during that part, but I didn't the first time I watched it. But for some
Mhm.
reason there was something else going on there.
Yeah.
with that
The
whole,
connection. I think you started to
Yeah.
sense it, and the
She
what
loves
her
her
sister.
sister so much. She's
Yeah.
willing to kind of,
And she finally,
it's
like,
again a
unleashes this,
silent
like-
moment for her to have to,
Yeah.
yeah.
And this is why
It's
she
her
got
like
really upset.
releasing these pent up feelings.
first-
in that
Yeah,
way.
because she was punching the mess out of that girl. She was in pain.
They were
And she
both
put
doing a
that-
great job of
right,
kicking
yeah.
the crap out of those girls.
Yeah, she
But even her
wailing on
crying when her
girl.
sister went after her and was like, I don't like you. Like that broke Rose. Like she did not like hearing her sister say that about
And you know
her.
what? That kind of broke me too, because like nowhere in this should you feel this way about Rose. Like
No,
nowhere,
right.
in any
Rose is a
scene
decent person. Like
she's there for you in any way she can be there for you, and you're
Even her accusing her of like,
Right.
implicating the father.
exactly when it was
or
the
you
nephew
didn't
the
defend
entire
him. I'm gonna
time. You
kick your
didn't-
ass.
right.
Get out. Walk home.
Yeah.
And it's like it's I
Infuriating.
don't believe in protecting your family by any means necessary when they are the ones at fault.
Right.
Like I just don't
No,
believe in that.
That's
And I
perfect.
know
The
that's-
line that she says to him, who's
Yeah.
going to protect me from you or us from
Yeah,
you?
Right.
Like,
Yeah, exactly.
There's so many
And that
great
one
like,
tear
lines
that
like
came
that.
down his face, I said,
Yeah. I was like,
"Oh,
whoa,
buddy."
I know.
I
Yeah.
said, and
well,
she
you
was
could see
crying
that
like-
actor
she
reflecting like he was doing a
crying on,
great
like,
job. Right?
Viola Davis level. She had
Oh my God,
snot
she
coming
was-
out her
yeah.
nose. I
She was
said,
like
Yeah. Viola
said,
Snot.
all the
Yeah.
fluids
Yeah.
coming out of her face.
"You
Like,
better
yeah, I was
act,
like,
girl. You had
man,
her
she is,
but she was the. And you saw her go like, I was like, that's some real snot, baby. She did
Can you show us the sleeve now? Come on, we know
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
It's
I know
not.
she's
Yeah.
in it.
I'm
I was like,
like,
yeah. she
yeah,
was
we're
in it.
like continuity be damned. Well, there's no continuity
There
around
ain't no
her
continuity.
face. Like we just gonna let her
Exactly.
Right.
just snot
Let
it
her
out.
go.
Like, yeah.
Whatever
well,
happens,
that's
happens.
acting, right?
If
No,
a plate
she was,
falls,
like,
if
in
a
it.
fork goes in the air, keep it going. Like you got this
Right.
is it was too good to
Man.
waste that. Yeah,
It was
she
so
was
good.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm shocked. I looked up, obviously, on IMDb, which we don't count these, but unfortunately, this is what people see when they go to look up a movie. So as much as people like, doesn't matter, it matters, unfortunately, because people are going to judge whether to even put a movie on, because there's too many movies to watch, which means that you have to pick and choose based on ratings, unfortunately.
Right.
The fact this gets a 5.9 is criminal. Like, it's criminal.
I don't ever follow. I don't know who actually follows IMDb's ratings. They're always like lower than most for some reason. I don't know. Why.
Agreed. It is a bit lower, but if you even go to the Letterboxd, it's
Tomatoes,
3.6, which is still a 7, essentially 7.1.
But look at Rotten Tomatoes.
I will right now.
Rotten Tomatoes.
Still
Like
Rotten Tomatoes said 100. You feel me? No, sorry, it's probably like 80, like 90s.
Well, it's a combination of what critics think, so it's going to be a better score for a film that's much more critically acceptable. This isn't the Electric Station, which everybody like on the other side loves, and it's like, all right, watch your movie, enjoy it. But Fresh Kills is the kind of movie that I think cinephiles will gravitate towards because it's so.
Yeah, it's 93%.
Just so fucking good. 93%. That's good.
It's
yeah,
93,
and audience score is 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is weird.
There we go.
Which means that it didn't get bombed on Rotten Tomatoes, but somebody probably bombed it on IMDb to like bring the score down, which is another problem that we keep facing. They're like, if women filmmakers, I'm gonna, you know.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if this film got out there as much though. Like, because I mean, she had no money for marketing. You know, so I don't know. I mean, it's totally possible that that's happened, but I just know like IMDb's ratings usually tend to like gravitate lower for almost all films across the board for some reason. So I like never trust IMDb's ratings. Yeah,
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
And it hasn't gotten any better, you know.
Yeah, in terms of promotion. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, she was doing like fun like stuff on TikTok. Like all the
sharing
time.
anybody's videos who were talking about it. Like, I watched it with my dad and had him give a review. She shared that.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah. My dad who falls
right.
asleep for every movie stayed up the whole time and really enjoyed the film. So
that's why I got 93% because dad stayed awake.
Dad stayed awake. Yeah.
So okay. So user rating on Fandango says 4.04, which is that's out of 5. That's not terrible. Okay, well, any way you slice it.
I just feel like a lot of people don't use IMDb. I mean, I'm not saying a lot of people don't, but like in the grand scheme.
I use it as just a like info poll.
I use it for info. I don't use it for ratings or anything like that. I use like Letterboxd or something like that. So I think the lowest totem pole of ratings is IMDb.
Well, that's fair. And I'm glad you guys are saying that because I typically would use Rotten Tomatoes because I know that it's an amalgamation of all the critics. And I'd rather hear what a group of critics say so I can kind of gauge. And even then, I don't trust it 100% because there are plenty of movies that are like, it's 90, and I watch it, I'm like, what are you guys talking about? Or the other way around, where people smash on a film and then I love it.
But that's why I love film because Joker. That's why I love film because like somebody's 4 can be your 7 or 8 or something like that. You know what I mean? Like my taste or my taste, and sometimes everybody's taste will align, but then sometimes they don't because I still think Super Mario Brothers is a phenomenal film.
Wait, you're talking about the Bob Hoskins one? Yeah,
the Bob Hoskins one. John phenomenal film.
Yeah,
but that's me because I like stupid stuff like that. You know,
what I mean? And there's a nostalgia factor there, right? Where you watch it when you were young, and
I grew up with it. But
I started to realize
it's a terrible film, but in the best way.
I've realized now that after we watched Spaceballs, I've kind of come to the conclusion. I already said rewatch films after 10 years or that you watched when you were a kid that you didn't like. That, and I'm going to put an addendum to that. Not watch them if you didn't like them. If everyone else said it was great and you didn't like it, rewatch the film because you probably will be surprised after 10 years or later.
Yeah.
But I also have decided I don't think I'm going to watch any of the films from my childhood anymore because I just don't want to do that to myself. I don't want to be like, oh, that was good, and now I have this weird feeling about it, and it's not as wonderful as I remember. Because if I had stopped watching Spaceballs at 30, they would still be a 10. Like it would still sit at a 10 in my head.
Now you watch it, you're like,
yeah. Now I don't think I'm going to watch it again.
I feel bad that I didn't watch it back in the day because like. In my brain now, I was just like, this was hot for you?
Yeah, but you know, I also like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but that movie still hits. Like that's
It
what's weird.
does.
It's
You
like
can't
that
compare it, man.
1991 still hits.
I want them to go back to that if they ever create more, like if they ever do more another like live action TMNT. I need them to be back in the costumes. I need to be back in the in the suits.
You
like,
know the animatronics would be better now. Like
yeah,
they've been
I
working
need to
on
be
them.
way better. I don't need the CGI. No offense to them mutated.
Well, the thing
turtles.
is, they could like supplement the suits with CG, like they do
Absolutely, like
in
Iron Man, like how they
Marvel.
do
Like,
Iron
yeah,
Man.
exactly.
Deadpool.
Yeah,
Totally
Right.
do that, and like
absolutely.
that'd be a good mix, you know.
And
But
it'll look more
Agreed.
fluid that way. Like it's
It'll be
just
cheaper. Let's just admit that.
yeah.
Practical effects for some reason are still cheaper than digital effects. It's a strange. Well, probably because you have to go get a degree and you know
Yeah.
years of training to
It's
get to
always
the
gold
CGI
when
stuff.
you mix them when it's half and half. When you mix them
Yeah.
together, it's always
There you
gold.
go.
Well, Jurassic Park still looks good, and it's from '93.
Right,
So,
exactly.
although don't watch it in 4K.
It gets a little
It doesn't look as good if you get too high res, unfortunately. But I don't think they were thinking about 4K resolution when they made that movie.
Was it even a thought?
No.
Well, it's shot in film,
Right.
so
So it means it's going to be as good
go
as
up
the film
whatever.
quality was. Right.
Right.
No, well, with film you can go up as pretty large as far as like that's the beauty of film is like the resolution only like you can blow it up basically pretty large without losing like resolution for it.
Resolution.
It's different with film, like, and because you're not dealing with pixels,
Right.
So it could go to the 4K and be fine. Even though
I think the reason it doesn't work is you can start to go. It's like watching Star Wars in the 2000s, the original Star Wars movies. You start to see the matte lines that you may have.
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily the resolution.
Right.
In my
but it could be
opinion,
the digital versus the real, like putting it
Maybe.
on. I don't know.
Yeah.
I noticed the dinosaurs for the first time in the 4K version when I did not before. And it could just be that I watched it again and I'm older and it's
is your refresh rate set different?
no, I have it set exactly like it should.
I messed it up too.
It's 24 frames. Like I don't mess around. 24 hertz.
No, I don't mess around. That's hilarious. I don't mess around.
But
Yeah, I don't. The first time I saw a digital television and I was watching King Kong on it and it looked like a soap opera, I was like, what are they doing? What are they doing? Because they didn't have, Circuit City didn't have it set right. I know. I just mentioned a like archaic thing that nobody remembers.
yeah,
I loved Circuit City.
Shout out to
But yeah,
Circuit City.
well, more like
Anyway, Jennifer
RIPs.
R.I.P.
No, but I can still shout out.
Jenna
both those.
Esposito.
Shout
Yeah,
out.
I'm gonna. Brian is right. Let's bring it back around to Fresh Kills. Any final thoughts you guys would like to bring up about Fresh
Go
Kills?
watch it.
Yeah.
Go watch it. It's
Yeah,
on
it's
Hulu.
pretty
It's
great.
amazing.
I do wish I could own a physical copy of it. Like,
I do
I
believe
haven't,
it got
like,
a
asked her
Blu-ray
about
release.
that. Yeah.
I think it did. Yeah,
yeah, it got a digital
it?
release for.
I think it
purchase.
got a Blu-ray release. Actually, I think.
Oh, I haven't seen
I
that.
say.
But because I asked her about,
Physical.
this. If this was like years or like not years, but this was like early
Yeah.
after I saw the movie. I asked her, I was like, "Hey, are you gonna think about doing a physical release?" And she was like, I don't know if there's because like that costs money, to do. So hopefully, like, we'll get one out there. But you can purchase it digitally for sure. But yeah, I hope she gets to make more stuff.
Absolutely.
So I mean, this is a pretty great knock out of the park first time out. So I think those actors benefited from her being an actress for so many years.
Absolutely.
So long. So like she's able to bring that.
I feel like really good directors are actors themselves, or at least have the mechanics of what the actors do.
Yep.
Right.
And you can see it in like the direction. You can see it in the actors and their performance. I could always feel like a disconnect between actors and director because I'm like, something ain't working here. I don't know what's going on. But something's not working here. But this was just seamless.
Like that was the take you chose. Like
no, for real. I was like, there wasn't another one that you could
or you don't do a second take. What are you doing? Like at least do a few. See what you want, some variation so you can find what fits best.
Or you have a director. The one thing I don't like is directors that I feel, because I can't say whether it's 100% or not, but I feel don't stand up to their lead actors. So it's like you'll let your lead actor do a thing, and I'm like, that didn't work.
Right.
But were you
Because
afraid to
they're
tell
like
them?
huge or something. Like,
Like,
Yeah,
were you
well-
afraid to tell them that didn't work? Or you
If
just
you've ever watched any of Kevin Smith's, I know it's a little aside, but it's relevant. If you've ever watched his evenings with, he does one where he talks about what happened when he made the Bruce Willis movie, Cop Out.
Yeah. Cop Out.
And he said that working with Bruce Willis was the worst experience of his entire career.
Yeah.
He hated, even though like don't meet your heroes kind of a thing, like because he was a nightmare to work with because he was so entitled as an actor that he was like, "What are you doing, director? You're gonna do what I want you to do." And it's like,
Right.
Yeah.
No, director
Oh,
means
for
I'm in
sure.
charge of the shoot. Like I don't know, it's. So there can be so many things that can cause problems. And then I think part of what I always forget is that there are moments that everything for this film obviously lined up. Everybody did their personal lives lined up, everything, because if you have personal life stuff and that comes to set, it can throw the entire movie off.
Oh, totally. Right.
So
Or
I don't see this
it can enhance
physically
the
at all,
movie,
by the way.
depending on what it is, because most actors will use that in the scene. It could probably make
Yeah,
the
they
movie
can.
a little bit better.
Yeah.
Right.
Depending on the actor.
Absolutely.
But yeah. But this is like
No-
excellent casting,
Awesome across the
pacing,
board.
great. Like everything was there. And even like from like a cinematography perspective too, especially compared to the kitchen, where for me it just felt like pop and polished, and this was like just like someone with a camera in there. There's a lot of handheld stuff going on in here. It also felt like too, like the camera didn't necessarily know where they were gonna, like when Rose is in the bedroom finally like just had it and she's like starting to pack stuff, it felt like camera was just kind of like trying to keep up with her, and we were like,
It was
like
as
you were
frenetic.
there.
It was as frenetic as she was.
improv,
It was like,
But that's almost like we're standing in the room trying to keep up with her, right? And that's why
it
I like
added
that.
it added to that sense
To
of
that
what was
tension,
going on there. So it's just like excellent, like every single aspect you could.
No, absolutely.
Also, there's a funny thing I noticed in the credits too. Was I don't know if this is just how it is now. I'll have to look at other credits, but or if this is a choice that Jennifer Esposito made. So a lot of times she did have a lot of women on her crew as well, but normally there's two positions called Best Boy Electric and Best Boy Grip. That's like a traditional like title. It comes it harkens from like the old days of like the studio system of the Best Boy Electric and Grip, but of course was like dominated by men. That's not in there. It's just Best Electric and Best Grip. So there's there's no boy in there. I was like, oh, okay. I wonder if that was a choice. So or if that's just how it is now. You know what I mean? So I thought that was fun.
That is cool. That's different for once.
Yeah.
All right. So I was just informed we are out of time, so we should wrap up and do our final ratings of the film, and then we will be back 2 weeks from now. We are going to take a spring break, if you will. So we'll go in the same order. I guess that means I'm first.
Absolutely.
I'm going to give this a 9. I think this movie is epic. I think it's well made, well acted, really, really well written.
Absolutely.
And I think if you haven't watched this movie, you're doing yourself a disservice. It sounds like be prepared to get hit in the head with some emotions. So, Janine.
Yeah, I think I don't know if unfair or not, in juxtaposition to watching this with The Kitchen, it's changed my score because my original Letterboxd score was 4 stars, and just seeing a film that had a bigger budget, had bigger name actors in it, but the same opportunity to tell a really interesting, impactful, emotional story about women in this field, in the mob, and kind of drop the ball in this film, very smaller name people, smaller budget, all of that, and end up being so impactful that actually kind of changed my score. Right. So I would give this film a 10. I mean, I don't. It was perfect for me.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know if you've rated much 10 on this show before.
I don't think so.
You've kept it very like 9, 9.5.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. That's awesome. Wow.
Well, obviously this film wrecked me. Also, I just want to give a shout out to the costume and makeup on this film, because it was just so great to me, and I think it's very cool that like every time like Rose closed her eyes and she wakes up, it's a different year. Like that's kind of how they kept transitioning through things. Like she would kind of like go to sleep and wake up type of thing. I give this a 10. This was great. I'll watch this.
Another rare thing.
I'll watch this a lot. I this like if something has me visibly like covering my mouth and trying like tears just running down my face uncontrollably, I ain't giving it a 7. You feel me? Like, it's
too emotional for that, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, Brian, last word with you.
Yeah. I will say, like, we mentioned it before the show started, but like another great thing about this show is like when we watch films back to back, there's other like connections that happen.
Mm-hmm.
And Annabella Sciorra is in both of these
Both
movies.
films, yeah.
I was like, I did not plan that. I totally forgot she was in The
And she
Kitchen.
honestly looked like she stepped out of one and just.
Oh my God, I know.
Like,
Yeah,
like a little cameo.
And the film was like
a little
years
parody
ago.
cameo.
That just lets me know that they're
almost 5 years
they're
apart.
the same universe. They're the same universe. And
Exactly. I was trying to make a connection. She was like, how can we make these the same world? Like she's the same character in both.
Yeah, she's the same character. She was walking down the block. You know, she was heading somewhere. She's heading to a deli, like a favorite deli, like her husband.
There you go.
She's just in the
I mean, they're both in New York, so
it was so I was like
so
very vocal out loud when I saw she came. I was like,
what?
Oh my God. How did I forget this?
See, for me, it was opposite because I saw The Kitchen first. So I was like, okay, cool. And then when I saw
funny. Yeah. So
when I saw Fresh Kills, I was like,
first.
oh, my God.
Hello again.
I wish I would have watched them the other way around. I wish I would have watched The Kitchen first and then Fresh Kills, just because it would have been like,
Yeah. So funny. But
I think The Kitchen was worse for it. Anyway, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that palate cleanse that I got, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a 10 for me. It's pretty nice. I mean, if it's gonna wreck me both times, and I already know, like at the exact same point too, like what?
Yeah. Even another scene,
like you knew it was coming.
Didn't quite impact you the same way the first time.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're like, it's becoming part of you almost.
Like,
more out of it. Yeah.
Right.
It was like surgical precision. Like this is where Brian's gonna cry every time.
Right
now.
here.
Right there.
Yeah.
It's a time. You can timestamp it. That's why.
Yeah. And Brian cries.
Timestamp.
Love it. Yeah, I didn't know that Fresh Kills was the name of an estuary, which then became the name of a dump, which then, of course, is known for why Staten Island smelled so bad back in the day. So that was interesting.
Yeah.
But that's just a little aside. That said, this has been episode 23 of the Real Study Season 4. We will be back in 2 weeks with some fantasy comedies from the 80s, so check us out in a couple of weeks. Otherwise, have a great evening and watch more movies.
And follow us on everything. Join the conversation.
The real conversation.
If you can't take the heat, get out the kitchen, type of deal. Right. So
and don't watch
because it's undercooked. Yeah,
and don't watch it. It's crazy.